You're listening to MMA Out Loud.
It's Carl with MMA Out Loud, and I have one of the great trainers in all of MMA, Greg Jackson, with us. You know, what about another young fighter you've taken the helm with is Melvin Guillard, right?
Yeah.
He's looked awesome.
Yeah.
And what was the biggest change with him when he came here?
You know, every fighter, if you're into game theory, every fighter has what they call utility, and utility are personal preferences. So every fighter has personal preferences that they have, that they need to add to. And depending on the fighter and their success level, you either add to it, take away from it, improve it. And with him, it was just making sure that we make him really good at what he's good at, improve at what he's not as good at, but get him comfortable even when he's uncomfortable. And that was the real key with him. Because before, when he'd go on the ground, he would get panicky. So I taught him moves to make sure that he stays mellow, takes his time, works to where he needs to work depending on the game plan. And then Mr. WinkelJohn, my partner at the Albuquerque school, who is a genius striking coach and my mentor, really took his striking to a whole new level. So the combination of the two of us really helped out.
So with Melvin, it was maybe just common his young spirit.
A little bit, but a lot of it's technical, and a lot of it's psychological. I mean, so yeah, you have to have the tools in the toolbox, but you also have to have the mind to use it.
Well, let me ask you this too now. With your camp, you have a lot of great guys training with each other. So they're pushing each other. And this is a little, topic with the Greg Jackson camp, but with Fedor, a lot of people have been saying, they're not giving him the best guys to work with.
I honestly have.
Is that a big deal though?
I honestly don't know how anybody else does stuff. Like, that's the funny thing is when I go to other camps, I'm like, oh, you guys do that. Like, because again, I've only done the way I've done it, and I don't have a lot of experience doing other systems because this one's worked so well for me. So I'm not sure. Fedor's an amazing fighter, and I love the way he fights. And he might have had a bad night or two. Some people go through slumps, and nobody's unbeatable. I still think he's a great fighter, and he's got a lot of potential to kind of gather himself back together and be a champion.
And be a champ again?
Absolutely. How they do that is up to his coaches. He's had great coaches. So.
And what about with Arlovsky? When Andre, great fighter for many years, still a great fighter, but he's had trouble lately. He seems to be going out quick.
I wouldn't say he was going out quick. Anybody that stands in front of Karnatov, this last fight, I mean, he took a lot of punishment before he was actually out. And that was actually, even though it's a bad thing, it was a good thing in the same way. Like, if he got one shot and that would have been different. His jaw is still there, in my opinion. It's a structural thing that I'm really excited about getting some changes in. I can't say exactly what I'm going to do, of course, but I'm really excited to get him back into Albuquerque and get some changes going.
Did he become too much of a striker, you think, like he was into boxing?
Maybe a little bit. And also maybe it's just one of those things where, you just need to start doing things a little different. People are figuring out what you do. Now it's time
to evolve. Any guys we don't know about in your camp, young guys?
Keep an eye out for Willie Parks. Willie Parks. I said it here. Keep an eye out for that kid.
Is he a well-rounded striker?
I'll just let you guys be surprised.
Willie Parks. Is he fighting soon?
He won't be in any big organizations for probably another year, but keep an eye out. Yeah, keep an eye out.
And what keeps you going, Greg? Is it just like you said, each guy's a personal challenge, and you just
a little bit. I like to be an artist, and I love my soldiers. Like, I love my boys so much. They're such great people. They're such great guys. Seeing their dreams come true, there's no high that can match that ever. Like, watching these guys improve and being just a part of that process, and it makes my life fulfilling, you know what I mean? And if that's what for me, it's all arbitrary. What you feel is important, and that's what I've chosen.
And just back to tonight's fight, Strikeforce, who else were you? What other fights were you trying?
Oh, they were all really good. Jorge Masvidal was a great friend of mine. He did really well. Anderson just had an amazing fight too with that big right hand that he has. And so, it was just a great night.
And what about the women?
The women, I was very impressed with. They did an amazing job. And I almost won that fight twice there, and I was back and forth battle. Wow, can't get much more exciting than that.
And here's the last question. All fighters, I call them, this is my opinion, a little bit crazy to get in.
All crazy.
Is that how would you separate a fighter from
normal
just
people.
the normal people. What's the main thing?
I think that there is something within them that burns, and it can be a burn for competition. It can be a way to outlet anger. But there's a burn there that some normal people don't have, and it isn't necessarily a situational thing. It can be an organic thing. Some people are just born with that in them, and that makes them special people.
No,
It's Greg Jackson on MMA Out Loud.
Love it, Dave. Thank you so much.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
You're listening to MMA Out Loud.
When one fighter does what he wants, when he wants to, and with damage. That to me would be a 10-8 round.